All right, good afternoon, everyone. Carahsoft would like to welcome you to our 10-Zig technology webinar. Before we get started, please note that all of your lines have been muted to reduce any background noise, and we hope you will take full advantage of the chat pod and Q&A pod at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions throughout the presentation, and we will answer them toward the end of the presentation. If we are unable to get to your questions, our team will certainly follow up with you offline. This webinar is being recorded, and a copy of the presentation will be emailed to you. Just to tell you a little bit about Carahsoft, we are a trusted government, education, and healthcare IT solutions provider aggregator, delivering software and support solutions to federal, state, and local government agencies and enterprise healthcare organizations. Carahsoft maintains dedicated teams to support sales and marketing for all of its vendors, including VMware, Dell EMC, Symantec, F5 Networks, Adobe, and more. All contact information will be at the end of the presentation, so please don't hesitate to call or email us for any of your needs. Today, we are lucky enough to have Ben Burris, Director of Federal Sales, and Ed Richardson, Head of Technical Services from 10-Zig joining us today. I will now hand the floor over to Ben to begin the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate your time. We want to start off and talk a little bit about 10-Zig, what we do, what we bring to the table for everyone. 10-Zig brings a lot. The one thing that we do, the only thing that we do zero plants for VDI, virtual desktop infrastructure. This is the only, many companies do many things. We only do this. We only do thin zero, and we bring a lot of products that will pretty much meet whatever you need for your VDI initiative. Joining me is Ed Richardson. He is technical manager for he wears many hats. He is head of our technical services, but he's also part of the federal team, and he works with all our federal customers resolving any issues that we may have in the future. And he is very good at his job. We also have Alana Dyer, federal sales support specialist, and her responsibilities are the paperwork associated with customers and resellers and so forth. What 10-Zig brings to the table, and a little bit about our history. We were founded in 2003. It was formerly called Bossa Nova. It was Bossa Nova, if you remember, was a maker of the old green terminals for the IBM centralized systems, the old, I can't think of the term, mainframes, the old mainframe systems in the old days, which were really just dumb terminals. Of course, obviously now these are smart terminals. 10-Zig's main focus is like I said earlier, is the endpoints and RepurpOS Software plus the management tool to manage those things. We are headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona. This is very important to understand as well. 10-Zig, all of our firmware and our hardware come from our headquarters here in Phoenix. All of our technical services are deployed there as well. Our firmware, our most important part, that is imaged there, and we write our own firmware. It is written in Phoenix, Arizona. A lot of companies sell TA products. However, they don't really say where their firmware is coming from. Ours comes from Phoenix, and it is a USA written firmware, being PeakOS and NOS. We're heavily involved with the Department of Defense and Department of Energy. We've done many different deployments there. Some are very large and some are medium, and we continue to grow every single year. The one thing that we do, some of the things that we do is that needs to be said is the fact that when you look at other companies, we don't differ from a standpoint of warranty or a standpoint of hardware warranty. But we do stand apart when it comes to the support package. Other companies, if you don't buy the extra 2-year warranty to make a 5-year warranty, that support, that phone support and everything else that comes with it ends that day that warranty ends. And that's a big statement. And when you call in for support after that warranty, you'll have to present a purchase order to continue on getting the support. That is not true with 10-Zig. We support the product for the life of the equipment, and that's a very strong assertion. our firmware is supported for the life of the equipment. Our console, which is the tool used to manage all these devices, is supported for the life of the equipment. All of those are huge advantages for someone to try to do business with Tenzing, because everyone else is charging for their management console. You have to buy the extra support, all of those kind of things. We do it for free. Now, one thing that is a real advantage too, what Tenzing does, when you look at our endpoints, when you look from our least to our greatest, the 64-bit PicOS or NOS is exactly the same across all of those different platforms. This is really, really important. This is what made Teradici so popular back in the day. Teradici could sell their endpoints to all these different places, yet their management console would manage it no matter who OEM the endpoints with the chipsets. Well, Tenzing is managing it the same way, where the ideal is that when you have a fairly large deployment and you need to do patches and updates and so forth, you're not struggling because I've got this different units over here, these different units over here, and these different over here. They're all the same across that platform. So we think that's a big advantage, a very, very big advantage. We send all of our equipment. This is another part that's very, very important to the Department of Defense, especially, is that we send all of our endpoints to VMware for certification. So VMware certifies all of our equipment to work with their software. Citrix does the same thing. So we're Citrix certified. This is very, very important in terms of the CON, the Certificate of Net Worthiness. You can find us on their hardware control list, and obviously we're TAA compliant. All of our hardware comes from Taiwan. Final assembly happens in Phoenix, Arizona, plus the imaging, and we have a secure supply chain. So that is a very, very important statement as well. The other things that we've done too is if you're starting to look at a force point deployment, our equipment is force point certified. Another big one that's actually put us on the map, was our ability to start working with 90meter. 90meter is a company that builds the middleware software that interfaces the Cipher token hardware and Nipper hardware, cat card authentication. And since we've been doing that, Tenzing has just blown it out of the water. We're growing at a rate that you cannot imagine. We have extremely short lead times, and here's the reason for that. And this is something to understand as well. Most companies, they build on demand. Basically, if they get a purchase order or they know a purchase order is on its way, and they start building at that point. And then the possibilities of not having the hardware, enough of the hardware to build the equipment is always problematic. That's not the case for Tenzing. So what Tenzing does is a little bit different. We build on past performance. And what that means is very simple. We built this many units last year. We expect to sell this many units this year. And we have a sales expectation that has actually grown. So we build for that without even orders coming in, because we know from past performance that's how it's going to play out. So that is a huge advantage. So when you need equipment quickly, you're going to be able to get it most of the time. Our flagship models, this is what we treat with all our flagship models. However, always there's special order units and such that may not fit that criteria. Simple reason, there's not a lot of demand for them. So the other things that is very, very important, I think I've mentioned in the past, was the fact that there's no subscription. The Tenzing Management Console, the thing used to do firmware updates on our endpoints, that is 100% free. There's no license, no subscriptions, and even on our RepurpOS software, the RepurpOS software, which I think is crazy, is actually free. Now, what we do there too is in terms of support for our RepurpOS software. That's taken a device that's not even ours, like a Dell, a Dell Wise. What was the units that we just talked to? Another area about a 5060 and a 5070. That takes these things and we repurpose with ours, so you can actually manage everything under one pane of glass. That's kind of the idea. The repurposed software, the way we do the support on that, it's very, very simple. We build the support. It's really, really inexpensive in compared to when you look at everybody else's. We build it in such a way that when you think that that equipment is going to expire and it's going to be refreshed for something else at some point, then that's when the support would end on. We build that prior to the to you moving forward with it. We get that understood. So anyway, with that being said, I think I've covered my part. Ed Richardson will be taking it from here. He'll take a deep dive into our endpoints, our repurposed software, plus the console management. Ed, would you please take it from here?
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate the segue there. The 7000 series hardware is our newest addition to the 10-Zig line. That's built off of the Intel quad-core chipset family. It includes 2 display ports at 4K. You can run up to 16 gigs of RAM in these devices. This is our flagship device now. We do support both fiber and copper LAN on those, as well as being able for some of the GOE and other opportunities, the ability to use wireless with them as well. For the companies that don't support wireless, we are able to omit that in order to put that into secure environments. All of these devices, again, are TAA compliant. We do support VESA mounting for mounting onto monitors, walls, and desks for our devices. And as is typical with all of our endpoints, these do work with our 10-Zig manager. Our higher end CAD and imaging oriented devices, the 6100 series, the 6148 as a NOS device, or 6172 for our PeakOS thin client firmware. This is built off of an AMD dual core chipset, allows for 4 DisplayPort monitors at 4K. This is added for your GIS applications and anything that requires a higher level of video capability. These do support, again, the fiber or copper NICs so that you can attach them to any network that you might need to. One of the things with any of these, you notice that these do support a large amount of RAM. It is not necessary for you to run a large amount of RAM in these devices, but we do want to ensure that we can support whatever your hardware necessity is. Again, for ForcePoint, these have a higher hardware requirement, and we are able to support that on both the 7000 and the 6100 series for the ForcePoint builds. The latest addition here is our laptop form factor. This is built off of Intel's Alder Lake CPUs. This again is TAA compliant, has a hard network connection so that you can plug it in rather than having to use it wirelessly. Applies up to 8 gigs of RAM, along with the usual laptop accoutrements of being able to support USB-A and powered USB-C. So you're able to use this with docking stations and external monitor connections. Our 10-Zig manager is kind of the glue that keeps the whole 10-Zig ecosystem together. The 10-Zig manager is an application that you can deploy in a dark site onto your local network or into a remote site, whatever best fits your business practice. This will allow you to manage, configure, and remote access all of your 10-Zig environment. Each one of your devices can be individually configured remotely, or you can configure devices automatically based on their use case, location, or type of device. All of the 10-Zig manager application is a free product that's included with your 10-Zig purchase. In the case of your repurpose application, that is included along with your repurpose subscription. We're able to do group management. We're able to do filtering. You're able to do automatic deployment of your devices. And auto deployment is really where the 10-Zig manager shines. When you create the appropriate groups and configuration templates within your manager, you can literally take your 10-Zig devices, you can unbox them, put them onto a desk, plug them in, turn them on, and walk away. The 10-Zig manager picks that device up, applies the appropriate configuration to it, all the way down to even naming the devices, puts them into the appropriate location, sets them up 100%, and makes them ready for your end users to sit down and go to work. You can deploy many devices in a very, very short period of time using the Tenzing Manager. And again, the Tenzing Manager is a free application to you. Our repurposing software is gaining traction within all of the different verticals within DoD, DOE, and the federal government space. The repurposing software allows you to take your own third-party x86-based hardware and re-image it with a Tenzing OS in order to allow it to function with our Tenzing Manager, as well as with your Tenzing hard clients if you have a mix of those. You can take existing legacy hardware, you can reuse it and give it a new life cycle into our ecosystem, allowing you the full functionality of the Tenzing product line in your own piece of equipment. This will save you money, give you increased return on your investment, and extend the life cycle of the hardware that you already own in order to allow you to continue to use it in a way that benefits your organization. Each one of our Tenzing repurpose endpoints is configured in identically to the way that our hard clients are within your Tenzing Manager. The same application templates, the same functionality for automatic deployment, automatic configuration, and remote access apply to the repurposing software that you get when you take on any of our other clients to your environment. All of these functions are available to you with free demos so that you can test out either our hardware or our software in your own environment, along with award-winning technical support and pre-sales support through your deployment. I appreciate your time today. Thank you for allowing me to speak on our Tenzing equipment, and we're ready to take a few questions.
Yep.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate that.
Take a full advantage of the Q&A pod right now if you'd like to ask any questions. Right, I have a few more questions trickling in. First, can the Tenzing ecosystem be set up on an isolated network? Is there no requirement for internet?
The Tenzing ecosystem absolutely can exist anywhere that you want to put it. It does not have any internet requirement. It has no requirement outside of the local network so that it can be used in the darkest dark site without any negative effect.
Great. Another question here. Does the laptop client support NVIDIA graphics?
It does not have a graphic chip inside of the laptop. These, again, are endpoints. They're not designed for local utilization for your NVIDIA or your graphical intensive workloads. You're typically going to have a grid card on the back end in the form of your ESXi server. So in any environment where you're doing the higher end graphics, that capability is typically going to be handled by that back end card, not so much by the endpoint. Remember, at the endpoint here, these are zero clients. We're drawing a picture of the representation of the screen. We're not so much creating the image itself. I hope that's informative enough.
Okay, great, thank you. Another question here. Is there an offering for zero clients that have BLAST compatibility?
BLAST is our primary protocol for VMware. We do also support PC over IP and RDP to Horizon as well on those clients, but primarily we do support BLAST as our protocol of choice.
Another question, are you able to put your hotfixes as links in your website for easy download?
Some of our hotfixes are currently in our website. Others we don't put in there simply because they're aimed at more specific use cases. And we don't want to take the chance that somebody might inadvertently apply the wrong hotfix. Because our support folks are sitting there waiting for you to call in, we'd prefer to be able to guide you and provide you the correct hotfix rather than people perhaps self-servicing something that is not the appropriate or the best choice for them.
Thanks, Ed.
Oh, go ahead. Okay,
go ahead, Olivia.
Here, does RepurpOS support Imprivata? If yes, is it Prove ID embedded and web?
Yes, and yes. We do support the Imprivata API, the web API within our devices, so you can use all of our endpoints in your Imprivata enabled network.
And another one here, what is the update cadence to support isolated networks?
Our update cadence is typically 6 times per year for full firmware releases. We do hot fixes in between for specific issues, either bug fixes or updates to things like the VDI client. We do issue those more frequently, but our typical cadence for full firmware updates is about 5 to 6 times per year.
And how many, if any, supporting servers are required?
If you are going to run your Tenzing manager, that will require a Windows server. For our commercial side customers who want to run off-site devices, that requires a second one. For DoD, DOE use cases, it's typically a single server. Now, just to caveat that, we have had a couple of environments that were required by their policy to split the Tenzing manager out into multiple servers in order to put specific workloads in specific places, and that's definitely supported as well.
Great. Another concern here, apparently the 7000 series has a hot fix to fix time, but it is not available on your website.
That hotfix is not available on the website quite yet. It was just released and it's available from tech support. We will be publishing that along with our next release of 16.5.37, which we expect to see here in the near future.
Great. Does Tenzing support AVD and Windows 365?
We do. We have our NOS M0 client that supports AVD and Windows 365, and we are integrating into it the latest Microsoft releases for their SDK for AVD. That gives you the latest feature sets that are available from Microsoft for that environment in your Zero client endpoints.
Perfect. One more question here. What is the onboarding process like for a new customer with Tenzing?
Typically speaking, during a POC period, your new customer, either myself or one of our other pre-sales engineers, will work with the customer in order to deploy their environment, walk them through installing the Tenzing manager to get it initially up and running with the devices, and then work with them through the POC period as far as configurations, connecting devices, etc., to get whatever needs to be done accomplished during the POC so that when they do go to production, they can hit the ground running.
Great. How does the free demo program work?
I can answer that for you. It's very, very simple. Honestly, what we need to do is a quick call with you to identify the exact equipment that you need. Very, very simple, because we want to identify basically we need to identify how many monitors, what is going to be the connection protocol, and so forth, and whether it's going to be a fiber or copper drop. Then Alana Dyer will send out a eval form. All you need to do is fill that out, and we get the equipment sent out pretty quickly, within about a week or so. The one thing that you'll find out that's really, really good about the Tenzing eval policy is this. A lot of companies, and I've even worked for them myself, where within a week or so, once you get the eval, they're already asking, have you tested it yet? Are you done with it? That is not the case with Tenzing. We're very, very lenient. We will make every exception for you to keep that equipment as long as you need it to get your all your questions answered about it, to make sure before you do your deployment that it is going to work correctly. So that's one thing we do, and I think that's a huge thing. I get beat up over our evals all the time, because we have some out there more than 6 months, and we've had them out there for a couple of years. We do what we have to do to earn your business. That is what Tenzing is about. We will do whatever it takes to earn your business, and that's what we want to do. And it's just really a phone call that'll set up a quick Teams meeting. They usually take about 15-20 minutes, and boom, done. Once we understand it completely and we make notes about the opportunity, we start the process of getting you one out there from that conversation.
All right, last question that I'm seeing, and if anyone else has any more questions, feel free to type them in. But I'm seeing, is the Tenzing Manager always free?
Yes.
The Tenzing Manager is absolutely always free. The Tenzing Manager will remain free. And to be specific, it's not a product that we simply built up to put out there so that we could say we had something to manage our clients. We have a team of developers who do absolutely nothing in their workday but build that Tenzing Manager out, adding new feature sets, new functionality, fixing bugs, everything that is included with the Tenzing Manager as we move forward into the next iteration of our clients. Everything that you get from Tenzing beyond your initial purchase price is free. Your lifetime support is free. Your firmware updates are all free. Your manager is free. Everything after that initial purchase is free for you.
All right, I actually got a few more questions trickled in after that one. So is the repurpose modular, and how often is it updated?
Repurpose is updated on the same cadence as all of the rest of our firmware. One of the things that Ben mentioned earlier is that between all of our different products, the firmware build is identical. It's just a matter of how it's representing and what components are built into it for your particular use case. A zero client has fewer moving parts than a thin client does, being a good example. All of those are built simultaneously, all the different types of devices. And so each client that you purchase that's on a particular firmware version is going to work identically regardless of what type of firmware it is.
And that works for all of our different products, from our smallest to our largest, the same 64-bit PeakOS or NOS. Those are the two subsets of firmwares that we use to support our equipment with.
All right, another question here. What's the subscription cost of the repurpose OS? Is there a group discount, or is it per device?
It's per device. It's actually very, very cheap. Basically, let me back up a second. I need to back up. It's free. Honestly, you download it and you can use it. And if you never need to change anything on it, it's free for your lifetime. You can have it 100 years, and unless you need to make a change to it, it's free. Now, if it's going to be an enterprise deployment, this is where it changes a little bit. For that type of deployment, we recommend you buy the support package that comes with it. Support package means you're going to get phone support, and you're going to get firmware support as that product evolves and changes. So that is actually pretty cheap. I think it's roughly about $60 per unit per device per year. So, and typically the way we do this, I mentioned that earlier. What we try to do is, if you know that that you have these devices and you know you're going to keep them for 2 years, well, then we price it out for 2 years, because after 2 years, those are going to be retired, and then you'll be moving maybe on to a 10-zig endpoint. If it's more than that, we do 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever you need is how. If it's only a year, then it's that's the way we price the support package for that product. Does that answer the question, I wonder?
Yes, it does.
Okay, perfect.
All right. I have one more question here. I'm not quite sure what they meant. I'm going to try my best to form it as a question, but do we need the meeting as we start deploying?
You don't have to meet with us. If you want to just take your Tenzing devices, you want to start deploying them, if you're confident in your ability to do that, you don't need us for anything. If you need us, we're always here for you. And that's really the piece that we want to emphasize here, is that Tenzing's here for you. If you need assistance with your POC, your deployment, after deployment, whatever you need in order to be successful, that's what we're here for. So whatever level of interaction you need with us is what we will provide to you.
Perfect, Ed. That was perfectly said.
Any more questions?
If not, I want to mention that we do always have free demo equipment you're welcome at any point in time to reach out to either Ben or Alana or through myself in order to initiate a demo. We simply ask that you fill out that small form to tell us what you want to do with it so that we can get you the appropriate equipment. We'll send it out to you. Ben and Alana's contact information is available for you on your screen.
Perfect. I'll leave just a few seconds in case anyone has a few more remaining questions you want to trickle in. All right. If not,
Perfect.
then great. I'll go ahead and close us out. Thank you, Ben and Ed, for presenting and answering everyone's questions today. If you have any further questions or would like to request more information, feel free to contact the 10Zig team at Carahsoft. Our contact information is displayed here, so please don't hesitate to call or email us. Thank you again and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.